Hi guys, today we're going to be talking about the conclusion paragraph. I have left the introduction up here as our third assignment. We should have written this sometime this last week. And then today we're going to be focusing on the conclusion paragraph, which is our fourth assignment in the research paper. The important thing to remember here is that a lot of the conclusion paragraph are things you have already written. So for example, your thesis statement and then the main points, which of course come from our body paragraphs. So you'll have your restated thesis, and then you'll have the re-emphasis of main points, mainly your topic 1 and your topic 2, and then you have the final thoughts and conclusion. And this is kind of the area to show like stylistic ending to your paper. You want the conclusion to feel finished. You want the paper to feel finished. We don't want it to be like there's a cliffhanger or that something else might be happening. Before you start writing the actual conclusion paragraph, I think it's really important for you to practice a restating skill. And part of the problem with restating is it involves needing different vocabulary, but also a little bit of stylistic creativity. So if we were in class and doing this together, I would have you guys work through this before ever even starting on your conclusion. It says a main skill that writing a conclusion paragraph takes is the ability to restate or rewrite some of the sentences that have already been written. Below, we will be practicing together. So I've written you an original, and then I rewrite it down below in a new and brand new way. As the short story, The Gift of the Magi, unfolds, O. Henry poetically weaves together the story of two young lovers, revealing the importance of sacrifice and genuine intentions. I just want to point out one of the things I'm noticing in the body paragraphs is that we are forgetting our commas when we are doing, I guess I should do that in red so you guys can see it. When we are doing our appositives or when we are inserting the name of an article or a story, we need our little commas right there. So if you're copying and drawing along, go ahead and add those in as a reminder for you in your own writing. What I like to do when we're in class is to point out stylistic words and have you guys use a thesaurus to look up other options. So we have the verb unfolds. We have the adverb poetically. Another verb, weaves. And then I feel like sacrifice is not a style word, but genuine intentions is. Because depending on how you describe intentions, it has completely different meaning. My rewritten sample below, O. Henry, throughout the story, The Gift of the Magi, we'll go ahead and add in our comma right here to remind ourselves we need it on both sides, creates a tale revolving around two selfless lovers willing to set aside their own personal desires for each other. I believe that we have a different verb. I describe it as a tale instead of a story. I have revolving, selfless. Sorry, there's a weird extra space there. And then instead of describing sacrifice and genuine intentions, I kind of ball them into one. Set aside their own personal desires for the other. And so you can see that there is an obvious difference. It's not the same sentence in that I feel when I read it, oh, I've read that before, but it's at the end of the paper. So it is summarizing and restating the main purpose of the paper. So below, I'm going to go ahead and read a sentence that I wrote, and then you guys on your own, you could pause the video, use a thesaurus, and practice rewriting it on your own. William Golding, the author of Lord of the Flies, creatively uses a small group of boys to show the inherently evil that lives within the human heart, while exposing the consequences that arise from a violent and bloodthirsty leader. I'm going to go through and highlight style words. And these can be words that you decide you might even want to reword others, okay? That you could reword when you pause the video. Okay? You could pause right here, and maybe a rise is a good one too. You could pause the video. You could rewrite this sentence using a thesaurus and using your own words. So go ahead, take a minute, pause the video. I'm going to move on just for the sake of the video not being too long, but you should be rewriting this sentence here on your own. Okay, next one. Throughout the novella of Mice and Men, John Steinbeck exposes the controversial but yet important nature of human choice, while also revealing tragedies that arise from the disparaging depths of isolation. So just a reminder of Mice and Men is a novella. Most of the other books we are reading, Things Fall Apart or Separate Piece, are novels. We have our commas, we have our italicized novel title. And here are some of the style words I feel that are important. Controversial, human choice, revealing tragedies, arise, and disparaging depths. Now, there's always going to be one or two words in your sentences that you choose to keep. If I were to keep a word, I would probably keep isolation. And I think I could reword the rest of them. Even in this sample up here, I think I might keep evil and this idea of a violent leader, but I think that most of the words I could reword. So always choose maybe one or two words that you're like, hey, I don't really want to change that word. I like it, but make sure that it doesn't turn and boil over into the whole sentence. So you would take a minute here, pause the video, and you would rewrite the thesis below. I'm going to keep moving on. In the sample original sentences, looking up words you do not know will be important. There may be words in the sample that you could in turn use in your own rewriting if you understand the context and meaning. So I tried to use dynamic words here, words that had meaning and specificity. I think that's how you say it. We want to make sure that if you're going to use some of these words, you understand them. So make sure you're looking up and defining them as you go through. This part takes us to the actual writing of the conclusion paragraph. The conclusion paragraph will summarize the main points of the essay. In order to do this effectively, students need to go back to both the printed copies of Body 1 and Body 2 and underline the bold topic sentences. Now, we didn't do this because we haven't had class in person, but you want to actually, let me just highlight this part, in your typed MLA format documents. You need to go back to body paragraph 1 and body paragraph 2. And a step we're going to add in right now, just on your iPad or your computer, is you're going to bold the topic sentences. Okay? We will copy them on the next page. So you will copy your body 1 topic sentence here, and then you will copy your body 2 topic sentence there. So whenever you're ready to do that, you can pause the video and do that here, or you can do it now in another minute. You are going to take your original thesis statement that you've been using this whole time. By the way, a lot of us didn't include it on our paragraphs, so there was points taken off there because I can't check your body paragraph unless I know what you're proving in your thesis. So you're going to type your thesis statement here or handwrite it, depending on what document you're using. And then you're going to practice rewording. Note this little guy in the middle. Highlight words that you will need to reword or rephrase for the conclusion version. So you're going to go through and highlight keywords in your writing, just like we did up here, that you feel, hey, I need to change before I have a new version. Another little tip that I like to give students is take what's at the front and move it to the back. Essentially, if you can flip the order of the sentence, that's helpful. Whatever's last comes first, whatever's first goes last. That's kind of one of the easiest ways to stir up that sentence. Go ahead and flip to the next page. Once again, you don't want to skip this step. So every time you write something down, you want to make sure then that you are highlighting the key words and making it a new sentence. So you would take body paragraph 1 topic sentence and rewrite it down here. And then you're going to take body paragraph 2's topic sentence and you're going to write it down there. Okay. If you would like to pause the video and work here now, that's what you would do. Take a couple minutes, obviously going through and making sure that we're highlighting keywords. For the sake of the video length, I'm going to move on to the last section. For the last 2 to 3 sentences of the conclusion paragraph, students will need to choose from one of the 3 options below. Students always get confused. They think that I want them to do all 3. I'm simply providing you different ways of looking at the end of the paper. Meaningful analysis is required to make the essay feel complete. Highlight that. And well-rounded. It needs to feel finished. Option number 1. Comment on the nature of comment on the nature of the novel and its contribution to society. You're thinking about overall, through the course of time, how will this impact society? This literary work. A lot of these authors are writing with purpose and intent. Some authors are just writing to have, enjoyable stories for their audience. But a lot of the authors that you read in school had a specific purpose in mind. What do we think, if you were reading Separate Peace, what do you think John Knoll's purpose was? Or if you were reading Things Fall Apart, what were you thinking Chinua Achebe's goal was in writing Things Fall Apart? Option 2. What can readers take away from the story? Make a meaningful comment on the thoughts, emotions, or purpose behind the author's choice to write the novel. This is a little bit more personal, a little bit more emotional. Remember, we're still avoiding first person. You can write your takeaway by making it universal. It doesn't have to be like, I think the meaning is blah, blah, blah. We don't want to do that. So avoid starting that sentence off with first person. Last option, number 3. How may this book inspire readers to change or be aware of something in their own lives? In other words, what is the potential impact of the book on a reader's life? When you read this book, what does the author challenge you to change or to be aware of? That does it for the conclusion paragraph. The way that it would go, all right, and I want you to go back in and mark this with me in purple or whatever color you choose, something different. This would be the first sentence in the conclusion paragraph. This would be the second. This would be the third. And then let's say I chose option 3. This would be my last 2 to 3 sentences. So everything in purple is what you would type in the essay. Sometimes students get confused and they think they need to include all the originals as well. No, this is just the easiest way I found to kind of practice your restating. So whatever I've highlighted in purple, that's what you would eventually type up in that final MLA formatted draft. Okay, that takes us to the end of the conclusion paragraph. There will be a separate video for the MLA Works Cited page. Once again, if you have any questions, my tutoring hours are between 11 a.m. and 12 p.m. on Tuesday and Thursday. Happy writing!